Ooh, child, I'm so sick, and I'm pretty sure my neighbor is having a whole party, child. A whole party. For what? It's the middle of the week. Why are we having a whole party? Anyway, hey y'all. I'm sorry if I sound funny, and I'm battling something that my child picked up from daycare. Some crud, something nasty. Don't know what it is. It's disgusting. It's making me feel disgusting. Actually, my energy is coming back. I just sound like horrible. I sound horrible because a few nights before this, I have not been able to stay up past like 8:45. And tonight, I'm, getting a little bit of energy back. But this whole situation, this whole thing has just been, it's gross. It's so nasty. But yes. Anyway, hey, hello, hi, welcome. I'm glad that you are here. Today, I am going to do something a little bit different. I realize, y'all, something I realized. I read a whole lot of different stuff. I read across the spectrum. I never do recommendation videos. I literally I do not do a lot of recommendation videos. I don't know why that is. I really don't. I don't do a lot of it's the strangest thing. I do not do a lot of recommendation videos. All the people are like, I trust your recommendations. And I'm like, when do I ever recommend stuff? I guess if you watch my recent reads and you watch those best and worst books of the month, whatever, you get recommendations for that. But if you don't watch those videos, I don't know where or how you would get recommendations from me. So I'm glad that you all trust my recommendations. I definitely think I should be doing my recommendations video. So today actually is going to be a video where I recommend some books that I think you should be reading before 2023 appears, before 2022 ends. I don't know how I decided to title this video. Editing me will figure that out. So I thought it would be fun to give you some recommendations with that theme. I don't know when I think most of these books might be published in 2022. Don't know. Some of them may not be, but I did read all of these books in 2022. So if they're not all published in 2022, don't be mad at me, okay? Don't get mad. But before we get started in today's video, I would like to thank today's sponsor, which is Tailored Canvases. So Tailored Canvases is a company that works to bring personalized choice to families across the US. They work with amazing artists to create personalized canvases just for you. They do this all in the US and proudly support local jobs. I think that this is such an amazing thing, and I can't wait to show y'all exactly what they got me. However, what I do want to show you or talk a little bit about is that they have new designs daily. I think they have some that are thematic, some that are for Mother's Day, if you have a farmhouse theme going on, gym themes, bar and grill, and a lot of the things that they've done are customizable as well. They've been featured on a couple of different news segments, which I think is really cool. They have sections built out, like I said, specifically for your interests. You can tailor it specifically to what room you want, whether that's a living room, a bedroom, a bathroom, a dining room, nursery, theater, laundry, garage. They have ones that are specifically for holidays. So I know a lot of y'all in the booktube community, y'all are the spooky Halloween girls, and they have a few that I think are pretty awesome that are specifically tailored to Halloween, like Gothic and Hocus Pocus and Family Halloween and Dead End Breakfast Signs, Apothecary. I think it's just super unique. They have quotes that you can add to them. And they also have some areas where you can look at their art collections, which you can add. So one of the things that they pride themselves on is coming home to a beautiful space that kind of feels like your own. So whether that is an art piece that you select or coming out with a specific design that meets your needs of your home to make it feel more homey, I definitely would recommend checking them out. I do have a code that you can use today to get a discount. It's Ashley15, and you'll get 15% off of your order. So I would definitely recommend using that. And I'm going to show y'all exactly what I picked out, and I'm super excited for it because it turned out beautifully. Okay, y'all. So I'm trying to figure out how I can get this in frame, and I was kind of I don't know if I was really standing in front of it. You can kind of see it before I started recording, but they were kind enough to design a piece for me, which I am so excited for. So mine, if you can see it, I'm going to back up a little bit. It says a reading corner and then Bookishrealm established 2000 2014. This is absolutely gorgeous, y'all. I'm so excited for this. It is a hallmark for me in terms of the fact that I started this channel back in 2014. It's almost been 10 years since I've been running this channel, since I've been a part of this community, and having a piece of artwork that is my designated reading corner that will be in front of my bookshelf. So I'm going to hang this above my TV in between my two bookshelves, and knowing that Bookishrealm, which is my brand now that I've had for almost 10 years, established in 2014, hanging up is... I was so excited when I received this in the mail. I love that. Like, y'all don't, even my parents, I showed it to my parents because I asked my dad, I was like, I need you to help me hang this up. And he was so excited. He was like, oh my gosh, Asha, this is beautiful. Can't wait to hang that up. Like, it's really just going to fit with the bookshelves that you got. So just knowing that I got these bookshelves, like custom design, and having that like there to commemorate like how much work I've put in to get to this point with these shelves, with like where I've come from, and knowing that I established this brand in 2014 and now this is where I'm at in 2022. It makes me feel so great. So thank you so much to Taylor Canvases for sending that to me and for sponsoring this video. Like I said, I have a code Ashley15, which I will leave in the description box down below, as well as a website, a link to their website, so that y'all can check it out. Definitely support them, y'all. Like, it's like their stuff is just great. It's great. All right, y'all. So what we're going to do is we're just going to jump in. I'm just going to give you some recommendations, right? I'm going to try to not go over at least 5. I have my Goodreads pulled up right now, and you're probably asking, Ashley, why didn't you make a list beforehand? Because why would I ever make a list beforehand? I'm also going to try to focus on titles that maybe are not as talked about in the community. I don't want to continuously recommend stuff that we're all constantly recommending, because I feel like that defeats the purpose of doing recommendation videos. I'm also not going to recommend any graphic novels, comics, or manga. I'm kind of taking that out of the brand of this channel and moving it over to my comics channel, which, if you have not heard, maybe you haven't heard, I don't know. I have a separate channel that focuses on comics, graphic novels, and manga. Channel will be linked in the card symbol above if you did not know that, but I definitely will kind of steer away from recommending that stuff, because I want to keep this specifically geared towards recommending books, not graphic works, because I have a whole new channel for that. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to recommend to you, which is one that I have talked about on this channel, but I'm going to talk about it again because it is one of my favorite books of 2022, which is not a surprise because I absolutely adore this author, and that is I Must Betray You by Rita Sepetys. This is a book that focuses on the Romanian Revolution of 1989, and we are following a young man who is living during that time and is possibly involved in some informant type of situations going on. And it's very fascinating because while he is an informant, there is somebody else that is technically informing on him, and we follow just him and perspectives of other people who are living during this specific period in history. I think one thing that I really enjoy about Rita Sepetys is that she very much so focuses on parts of history that are not often talked about in terms of like mainstream history classes or mainstream historical fiction, and I really appreciate that from her as a writer, because it gives us the opportunity to learn more about things that maybe we wouldn't have known about before. And this is definitely a piece of history that I did not know much about prior to reading this book. As always, Rita Sepetys provides us with the most insightful author's notes, a lot of it geared towards how she's done her research and exactly what has happened in Romania post the revolution, what has changed, what has not changed. And I really adore this book, y'all. I really like Rita Sepetys as an author. So if you've never even picked up anything by her, like, I just recommend checking out her catalog and seeing what all she's written about, because she does so much research and picks some of the most interesting parts of history that we don't get the opportunity really to see very often. The next one that I want to the next one that I want to recommend is No Filter and Other Lies by Crystal Maldonado. So Crystal Maldonado, this is, I believe, their second book. This is their second book. Auto-buy author. Auto-buy hands down, because their first book, Fat Chance Charlie Vega, I really enjoyed that one, and then this is the second book. Really enjoyed this one as well. It focuses on a main character who is queer, is a woman of color, and is fat, and uses a Instagram account to essentially catfish everyone. she was catfishing. So what she was trying to prove in this is that Instagram has an algorithm that favors those that are white, thin, and conventionally beautiful. And so she begins to steal pictures from someone that she knows and poses as this person on Instagram to kind of push her own messaging and agenda, which the intentions behind it were okay, like what she was trying to do, but she did it all the wrong way. And so she ends up meeting someone and things get complicated because she's not who she says she is, and she's catfishing and she's working behind this account. One thing about this book that I loved, that I absolutely loved, because I think sometimes YA does not do a good job of doing this, it held our main character accountable the entire book. There was no, I'm gonna wrap this up in a neat bow, all is forgiven, you're not gonna lose friends, you're not gonna lose your job, everything is gonna work out perfectly for you in the end. Do not go into this book expecting the main character to get a perfect ending, because I promise you she's not getting a perfect ending whatsoever. She has to face the consequences of her actions, regardless of whether her intention in trying to show how algorithms within themselves do not favor people who fall outside of what is considered the societal norm. She went about that the wrong way. You can't just steal pictures from someone, catfish, and then think that there are no consequences. And I love that Maldonado made sure that readers understood that while the intent is good, while we understand where you were coming from, you still have to face the consequences of your actions at the end of the day. It was a powerful statement from Maldonado to do that in a YA book, because it's not something that we necessarily see on a frequent basis in YA, and I love that. This is, like I said, auto buy offer for me. If you've never read anything by Crystal Maldonado, you're completely missing out. Their debut book, Fat Chance Charlie Vega, was really, really good. Fat representation is always good. Both of those books have fat representation. They're great. Well done, well polished. I absolutely adore it. The next one that I recommend, and ironically, like all of these been YA so far, which is fine. It's okay. It's fine. Because sometimes I find YA books that are not necessarily quote unquote on the mainstream. These are ones that are lesser known or not getting as many reviews as I think they should be getting, on Goodreads. Okay, so the next one that I have is actually a middle grade title, which I'm excited to switch a little bit over to middle grade, and that's Almost Flying by Jake Arlo, which they have a young adult book coming out. If it hasn't already released, it is coming out sometime this month. But prior to my interest in that one, I ended up reading their middle grade book, Almost Flying, which was so fun. So much great queer representation, and just in a very interesting setting. So we have a main character that is coming into their sexual identity. They're learning more about themselves, and they are super interested in roller coasters, but in roller coasters from the perspective of watching them on YouTube, watching the actual footage, as if you are sitting in a roller coaster. So they're an expert on roller coasters and the turns and the twists and everything, know everything about these rides from all types of theme parks across the country. And I think using that as a backdrop for this book was super unique, because I hadn't seen it done before. And it is a coming of age story. It is a story that focuses on identity and feeling comfortable in your own skin. It is also a story that focuses on familial changes, where we have two families coming together that in a way that is kind of low-key messed up, because it's not really discussed with the kids. I think whenever you're blending families, not that you have to ask permission from the kids who are involved, but bringing them into the conversation so that they're not shell-shocked by the fact that it's oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna marry this person, and everybody at the table is kind of wait, what, marrying, huh? Where did that come from? So I think that was a very difficult situation for our main character to be in, where families were getting blended and they were kind of thrown a curveball in that situation, and so they're made to kind of get along with a step sibling that they really don't feel like they have anything in common with. But when they get the opportunity to do this bonding and go to a theme park, they begin to learn more about their newfound sibling. They begin to learn more about themselves and this individual that they may or may not have feelings for or a certain attraction for. I thought it was just very well written and interesting. It was just interesting. It wasn't there was a bunch that happened. We're not talking about fantasy or sci-fi or anything like that, but it was just a solid middle grade contemporary story that really lended itself to or really heavily relied on this roller coaster theme park type of theme, that I was like, you know, this works. I'm really enjoying this, and it really gave us the opportunity to really get to know the main character, which I appreciate it. It's amazing, you know, like scrolling through this list, like I am totally realizing that I've read a lot of comics and graphic novels this year. It's a very fascinating thing to learn about yourself. Like, I mean, you know that you already do it, but then to like see it in action, you're like, whoa, yeah, like I read a lot of comics and graphic novels. Like it's a lot. It's a whole lot. Like a lot. Okay, the next one that I have on my list is Where We Go From Here by Lucas Rocha. This is one that I don't know how I found this one. I think I actually was at work, which this is how I get into trouble with checking out library books. I'm like, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to read my own collection. And then it's like, I have to spend time like looking through someone else's collection, checking books for condition. And then I see all this stuff on the shelf. And I'm like, well, this looks good. This looks good. And it makes me feel like I could just buy books like with no money. Like I'm just going on a shopping spree. Do y'all ever get that high from going into the library and just like literally like scooping books off the shelf into a bag and you're like, yeah, I'm rich, bitch. I mean, this is what I do for a living. So I feel like a rich bitch every day that I go into a library. Libraries do great things. They not only serve their communities, but sometimes they make the community members feel like a rich bitch. And that's just me. So that's probably how I ended up finding this one. Probably was sifting through someone's collection, doing something work related, came across it and was like, why not? I'm going to read it. So this book is actually translated. It is a import from Brazil, I believe. And it focuses on 3 main characters. One that is HIV positive, one that is on the cusp of finding out that he is HIV positive, and one that is not HIV positive. And it is fascinating to watch the interactions between all of the characters as they try to break the stigma surrounding HIV and being gay in their community. I thought it was well written, well done. It's very interesting to learn about the medical industry, how it may support or it may not support people who do have HIV. And so just learning more about Brazil's healthcare system and how it responds to HIV is very fascinating, because I know that we're not all equally built here globally. Let's be honest, we're not all equally built here when we're talking about supporting people who do have HIV, making sure that they have the appropriate medications, that insurance is willing to cover it, so they're not coming out of pocket for these expenses or whatever the case may be. People have whatever beliefs when it comes to that. And so it was nice to see that on page. It was nice to see also a character having to confront their own phobia and their own internalized hatred of people. And I want to say internalized hatred because that's kind of strong, but their internalized assumptions and bigotry and their stereotyping of individuals who have HIV, and having to combat that, especially when they have interest in a partner that does have HIV, and having to really learn what it means to have HIV and what advances have been made in the medical field that prevent the transfer of HIV from one person to another, and that it can be completely safe to have a partnership, a relationship with someone who does have HIV. I was very shocked, I think, to see how well that is tackled in a way, because it could have gone left in many different places in this book. But I felt like, and this is coming from a person that is not a part of this community, so I don't know if the representation was 100% accurate, but I do feel like the author handled it in a tactful way. But if I'm wrong and if someone else has read this book and they feel otherwise, please let me know. But I do feel like it was handled tactfully, and it was a way for a character to grow and learn more about themselves, and like I said, their own internalized bigotry towards other people. And I really enjoyed this book, y'all. I believe that this author is coming out with another book this month, or sometime it's either this month or it's within the next few months that this author is coming out with another book, and I cannot wait to dive into it, because not only did I just like the characterization in that book, but I really did enjoy the writing style as well. Okay, and the last one that I'm going to recommend for y'all to check out before the end of the year is going to be Tumble by Celia C. Perez. This is one that I think impacted me emotionally. That's why I was not expecting to feel so emotional about this book, but my God, this one took me for a ride. So it focuses on a 12-year-old who is really into wrestling, like loves wrestling, is into it, like obsessed with wrestling. And she lives with her mom and her, I think they're married at the time, is their stepfather. Her mother is pregnant with her younger sibling. And so what ends up happening is that her stepfather wants to adopt her, and her biological father has not really been in the picture a lot. And she struggles with the idea of him adopting because, of course, in order for him to adopt her, they have to get permission from her biological father. And she's like, well, why do you need permission from my biological father? It just opens up a door of questions as to why she needs to be, I guess, why she needs to get this permission from her biological father, who's never been in the picture. It just opens up this can of worms. So now she wants to know, well, who is this man? Who is my biological father? And so her mother is really hesitant on telling her about her biological father. Her mother has her reasons that I, as a single parent, completely and totally understand. It's her way of protecting her child from the foolishness, the tomfoolery. And as a 12-year-old, I understand from that perspective as well, not understanding why a parent would want to do something like that. So her mother kind of gives her the opportunity to get to know her dad and her dad's side of the family, and inevitably it's disappointing. It's not what she thinks it's going to be, and I'm not going to explicitly say like what happens, but there were a few scenes in there that really tugged at my heart because I think I understood it from both the child and the parent perspective, and it also gave me insight to what I may have to deal with later on in life, being a single parent and having to navigate the waters of having another parent that is not involved whatsoever, and having to answer those questions and wanting to protect your child from the inevitable disappointment. And it sucks. It sucks. Like, I wouldn't wish this upon anybody. It's just a very sucky position for a parent to be in, and it's an even more sucky position for a child to be in, and for a child to be in that, like, that arena of being disappointed by someone who's not supposed to disappoint them. Like, that just really, really sucks. And so we watch our main character go through all of that. We watch her go through the highs of like, yeah, like, you know, this is my dad, like the relationship that you had with him is going to be different because just because y'all didn't work out doesn't mean that it's not going to work out with him being the dad that I want him to be. And then watching her cycle through like, okay, now I kind of see what my mom is talking about. This is really sucky. It's such a disappointment. Like, what's wrong with me? And like, when kids go through that phase of what's wrong with me, when whatever adult, not just biological parents, but whatever adult is present in their life, it makes them feel that way. Like, it breaks my heart because no child should ever question like what's wrong with me because of how an adult is behaving. That is the most fucked up thing that you can ever do to a child, to be honest with you, because you can carry that burden and that feeling, that low self-esteem with you throughout your adulthood, and it's not healthy at all. And so we watch her cycle through all of that, but she had such a supportive mother, and I really, really loved that. And her dad's side of the family was also really, really supportive, and they loved her and they cared about her, and I think she got a lot from that as well. And keeping that theme of like wrestling and how it's tied into her dad's side of the family, it was just really, really well written. But my God, I don't think my poor little heart could have taken much more of this one, because I was on the struggle bus with this one. But it was so good. Definitely one of my favorite books of 2022. All right, y'all. So those are some books that I think that you should read by the end of 2022, before 2023 begins. I don't know. We'll choose a title, something around those lines. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Like I said in the beginning, make sure you check out Taylor Canvases. I'll leave their website and the link information down in the description box below. Remember, you could use my code Ashley15 to get 15% off. Y'all, the canvas of the game is so beautiful. I can't stop looking at it, and I've been dying to show y'all, but I had to wait until I got my life together and shot this video so I could show it to you. But definitely make sure you check them out. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in seeing more content, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. If you're interested in supporting the channel or interested in following me on social media, all the links will be down in the description box below, and I'll be back with another video soon.